Thanks for watching. If you like this video, please give us a like and comment on the video. It really helps us share our videos with more people everywhere. Merry Christmas to you and your family. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel. A Christmas Carol, adapted from Charles Dickens. Once upon a time, in the bustling city of London, lived a man named Ebenezer Scrooge. Scrooge was a very grumpy old man who loved money more than anything else in the world. He ran a counting house, which is like an office, and his only clerk, a kind man named Bob Cratchit, shivered by a tiny fire, while Scrooge himself sat bundled in thick clothes. A cheerful voice cried, "A Merry Christmas, Uncle!" Scrooge simply grumbled, "Bah, humbug!" His nephew, Fred, pressed on, "Christmas a humbug, Uncle? Surely you don't mean that." Scrooge replied, "I do. What's Christmas to you but a time for paying bills without money, a time for finding yourself a year older but not an hour richer?" Fred tried to invite Scrooge to Christmas dinner, but Scrooge only grumbled more. Two gentlemen then came asking for donations for the poor. Scrooge dismissed them sharply. "Are there no prisons and the workhouses? Let them go there." As he unlocked his door, he saw something strange. His old business partner, Jacob Marley, who had died 7 years ago that very night. Scrooge stared, rubbed his eyes, and looked again. It was just a door knocker. "Pooh-pooh," he muttered, and went inside. He ate his gruel, a thin soup, in his gloomy room. Suddenly, the bell on his fireplace began to ring. Then all the bells in the house rang, and then, from downstairs, he heard a clanking noise, like someone dragging a heavy chain. It grew louder and louder, until right through his closed door came the ghostly figure of Jacob Marley. Scrooge cried out, "How now? What do you want with me?" Marley's ghost answered, "Much. I am here to warn you, Ebenezer. You still have a chance to escape my fate. You will be visited by 3 spirits. Expect the first when the bell tolls 1. Expect the second on the next night at the same hour. The third upon the next night when the last stroke of 12 has ceased to vibrate." With that, Marley's ghost floated out the window, and Scrooge, very scared, went to bed. Scrooge woke up with a start. The church clock struck 1. Just then, a light shone in his room, and a strange figure appeared. It was small, like a child, but its hair was white like an old man's, and from its head came a bright light. The spirit introduced itself. "I am the ghost of Christmas past, your past." The spirit took Scrooge by the arm, and they flew out the window. They floated over the sleeping city and landed in a familiar countryside. Scrooge whispered, "Good heavens! I was a boy here." The spirit showed Scrooge his old school. He saw himself, a lonely boy, reading a book by himself while other children had gone home for the holidays. The scene changed, and Scrooge saw his little sister, Fan, running into the schoolroom. She cried, "Dear, dear brother, I have come to bring you home, dear brother." Scrooge watched as his younger self was filled with joy to see his sister. The spirit then took Scrooge to another time, when he was a young man working for a kind merchant named Fezziwig. Mr. Fezziwig was throwing a wonderful Christmas party. Everyone was dancing and laughing. Scrooge exclaimed, "Bless his heart, it's Fezziwig alive again." The spirit then showed Scrooge a painful memory. He saw himself, a young man with a beautiful young woman named Belle. Belle sadly spoke, "Another idol has displaced me, a golden one. You are changed." Scrooge watched as Belle, seeing his love for money growing, sadly left him. Scrooge couldn't bear to watch anymore. Scrooge cried out, "Spirit, show me no more!" With a flash, Scrooge was back in his bed, exhausted, and fell into a deep sleep. Scrooge woke again as the clock struck 1. This time, his room was filled with a warm, glowing light. A cheerful giant figure sat on his floor, surrounded by a feast of delicious food. The giant figure boomed, "Come in! Know me better, man. I am the ghost of Christmas present." The spirit, a joyful giant with a glowing torch, took Scrooge on another journey. They flew over the city, and Scrooge saw people everywhere celebrating Christmas. They stopped at Bob Cratchit's small, humble home. Scrooge asked, "Is that where my clerk lives?" Inside, Mrs. Cratchit and her children were preparing a small Christmas dinner. There was Martha, Peter, Belinda, and the 2 youngest, and little tiny Tim, who was very weak and walked with a crutch. The family was so happy to be together, even with their tiny goose and small pudding. Tiny Tim spoke in a sweet, faint voice, "God bless us, every one." Scrooge's heart felt a pang. Scrooge pleaded, "Spirit, tell me if Tiny Tim will live." The spirit responded gravely, "I see a vacant seat and a crutch without an owner, carefully preserved. If these shadows remain unaltered by the future, the child will die." Scrooge was deeply saddened. The spirit then took him to his nephew Fred's house. Fred and his friends were laughing and playing games. They were talking about Scrooge. Fred said, "He says that Christmas is a humbug, and he believes it too. But I feel sorry for him. I shall invite him every year, whether he comes or not." Scrooge felt a blush of shame. As the night went on, the spirit began to age rapidly. The spirit warned, "My life upon this globe is very brief. It ends tonight." Before he vanished, the spirit revealed 2 miserable, starving children clinging to his robe, ignorance and want. The spirit warned, "Beware them both, but most of all beware this boy, for on his brow I see that written which is doom, unless the writing be erased." And with that, the spirit vanished, and Scrooge was left alone in the darkness. Scrooge waited nervously for the next spirit. The clock struck 12, and a silent, solemn figure glided into his room. It was tall and draped in a black hooded robe, with only one hand visible. Scrooge asked fearfully, "I am in the presence of the ghost of Christmas yet to come? You are about to show me shadows of the things that have not happened but will happen, are they not?" The spirit said nothing, only pointed with its hand. It led Scrooge through the streets, where he overheard people talking about a man who had died. One man said, "I don't know who will go to his funeral. He didn't have any friends." Another joked, "I'll go if dinner is provided." Scrooge looked around, wondering who they were talking about. The spirit led him to a graveyard. Scrooge crept closer, shaking with fear. He looked down and saw the name carved into the stone. Scrooge cried out, "Ebenezer Scrooge! Oh no, am I the man who died? Spirit, hear me. I am not the man I was. I will honor Christmas in my heart and try to keep it all the year. I will live in the past, the present, and the future. The spirits shall strive within me. Oh, tell me that I may change these shadows." Scrooge knelt before the grave, his hands outstretched. As he pleaded, the phantom's black robe seemed to shrink, and the solemn spirit dissolved. Scrooge suddenly found himself back in his own bed.
The curtains of his bed were still there. The room was his, and the time was morning. Scrooge laughed a real joyful laugh. "I am here! The shadows of things that would have been may be dispelled. They are not mine, but I can change them. I don't know what day of the month it is. I don't know anything. I'm quite a baby. A Merry Christmas to everybody." He ran to the window and called out to a boy passing by. Scrooge asked, "My fine fellow, do you know the poulterer's shop in the next street? Is the prize turkey still there?" The boy answered, "The one as big as me?" "Yes, sir." Scrooge commanded, "Go and buy it, and tell them to bring it here. I shall give you a shilling, my boy." Scrooge paid for the huge turkey and sent it anonymously to the Cratchit family. Then, dressed in his best clothes, he headed out. He saw the gentleman who had asked for donations the day before. Scrooge greeted them warmly. "My dear sirs, I hope you received my message yesterday. Not a halfpenny less than a very large amount. I have come to make a donation." The gentlemen were stunned and overjoyed. Scrooge walked on, his heart overflowing. He even stopped to visit his nephew, Fred, and knocked on the door. Fred's wife answered. "Who is it?" Scrooge answered, "It's your Uncle Scrooge. May I come in?" Fred's wife answered, "Who is it?" Scrooge answered, "It's your Uncle Scrooge. May I come in?" Fred was astonished, but welcomed him warmly. Scrooge had the best, merriest Christmas dinner he had ever known, surrounded by his loving family. The next morning, Scrooge went into the office. He sat and waited for Bob Cratchit to arrive late. Bob Cratchit rushed in, shivering. "I am very sorry, sir. I am behind my time." Scrooge leaped up, pretending to be angry, but then his face broke into a glorious, kind smile. Scrooge declared, "A Merry Christmas, Bob. I am not going to stand for this kind of thing any longer, and therefore I am going to raise your salary." Bob Cratchit could hardly believe his ears. Scrooge became a second father to Tiny Tim, and he did not die. And so Ebenezer Scrooge kept his word. He knew how to keep Christmas well, if any man alive possessed the knowledge, and it was always said of him that he knew how to keep Christmas well. May that be truly said of us, and all of us. And so, as Tiny Tim observed, God bless us everyone.
Thanks for watching. If you like this video, please give us a like and comment on the video. It really helps us share our videos with more people everywhere. Merry Christmas to you and your family. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel.